welcome back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vidz, and this is the Ankle Breaker Podcast, episode 66. And tonight it is another episode in the show. It should be a good one tonight. Me and co-host All Out Champa at it again. No special guests tonight, so is what it is. But we'll definitely have someone on in next week, I'd say. But Champa, good to have you back on the podcast, bro. How you been in life and just how you been in general?
Yeah, I've been doing all right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Ankle Breaker Podcast, episode 66, 4 episodes away from 70. And yeah, I'm doing all right. I've been keen for the podcast. I've had a great round of footy, a lot of things to talk about. So everyone stay tuned for that.
100%, bro. Yeah, look, a lot of things happened during the week. Probably not as what has been as big as what the past couple of weeks have been, but still some things to talk about, and there's a few things to discuss. But yeah, either way, it should be a good show, and looking forward to doing another podcast with you. But obviously, plenty of things to get through, but we'll see who's in the live chat. Still pretty early, only a minute in, so we're going to wait for a few people to roll in. But so far, 3 people. And in the chat, we've got Jason Reader. As always, very consistent subscriber of this YouTube channel and a good supporter. So good to see Jason in the live chat. But as we speak, more, I guess, more viewers will come into the stream soon. But it's all right. We'll get a few more soon. And also, CJ in the chat as well. He says, Liam Knight, bruh. Well, yeah, we will talk about Liam Knight soon, actually. Bit of a shock he left the Rabbitohs that early. So, yeah, we will discuss that very soon. But, Champa, I'd like to ask you a question just before we get into the real show. Just wondering, with the whole, I guess, talk about the Tigers for a minute, obviously signing Finu, rumours about Caesar, you still have Wakeham in your books and Will Smith. What would your ideal halves pairing be for 2024? Like, what would your strongest halves pairing be for the Tigers next year? Because I've been thinking about it recently with all the halves you've got. So just who'd you pick?
Well, it's going to be a completely different halves pairing than what we're seeing this year right now. It's going to have no Wakeham, and it's going to have no Will Smith, and it definitely won't have Dane Laurie since he's going back to Penrith next season. So at 5'8", I'll have the young Latu Finu. I think he's a very exciting prospect coming through the system. He hasn't had any NRL experience at all, but if you're going to pair him with who I think should be our halfback, I think he will fit in comfortably, and that is Aiden Caesar as our halfback. I think he's an experienced veteran. He's done it all. He's played in premierships. He's played in finals. He's torn up in the Super League, and he's at an age right now where he's not, I wouldn't say slowing down, but he's getting older. And I reckon if you're gonna build Latu Finu, because we've brought him in, and he's gonna be our next big man. This is gonna be our the player that's gonna carry our club in the next few years. You got to pair him up with someone good, very similar to what back in 2005 with the different Benji Marshall when he was young. They paired him up with Scott Prince, and look at that. They took the Tigers to a premiership. Now I'm not saying that's going to happen next year, but you pair a young, exciting halfback with an old veteran half in Aiden Caesar. It's going to settle Finu, and it's going to help him comfortably mold into first grade very, very well. So I'm going to go with Latu Finu at 5'8" and Aiden Caesar at halfback.
I like that. I do like that because I think with Finu going there and even talk about Tigers chasing Jerome Luai, I wasn't too sure where he'd fit. If that was ever the case, that Luai would come to the Tigers, but you don't need him, so it's just more rumours, I'd say. Yeah. But whatever Sheens and Benji chooses, I'm sure that that'll be the best halves pairing going forward. But I agree. I think Finu and Caesar would be how to build the Tigers up and get them going. So I like that. I think that has potential, in all honesty. Hopefully that does turn out to be the case. Them two in the halves. But look, I guess we'll get into the podcast now. I thought we'd just get that out of the way. Got more viewers rolling in. We've got CJ says Champa has turned 3 years younger. Have you?
Wait, what? Do I look 3 years younger?
Well, that's what he's saying. Has Champa turned 3 years younger?
Well, I did trim a lot of my beard down, so I guess that's just aged me back 3 years or something.
Yeah, I noticed that a little bit. And Mel said up the wires. Yeah, well, up the wires are right. Jeez, they're playing fantastic footy. They are
They are
just
flying at the moment. They're definitely flying.
they're a mix of 2002 and 2011s. It's incredible what they're playing at the moment. But yeah, Champa, let's get into this podcast now. Going through, I guess, the first sort of segment of the show, we'll get into our round 21 review of the round it was. Just going to type that in there, and there we go. So, look, our thoughts on the round of round 21. So obviously, yeah, again, a lot of things happened during the round. Good moments happened, some bad moments, I guess. But in terms of, I guess, what the round was and how you thought of it, what did you make of it?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a very interesting round of rugby league. Unfortunately, Tigers came up short against the Dragons, who some managed to prevail at the end and scoring a try to take him to the lead. We saw Brisbane and South in a very, very close, compelling game. Brisbane coming out on top. Your boys Manly holding off a Sharks comeback. Jeez, they were coming back, but you guys managed to hold off well. We saw Penrith Panthers doing what they do best, and that's just pure dominance against a very woeful Bulldogs side. And the Knights, against all odds, finding the win against the Melbourne Storm, which is great to see. And so I reckon this round of footy has been very, very interesting. It was a good round of footy. I can't complain. A lot has happened in this round that we're going to get into very soon. But yeah, look, I thought it was a very good round of footy, and yeah, not much other to say other than it was a good, entertaining round. Great to be a fan of rugby league.
Yeah, well, I think it was an entertaining round, but it didn't start, I guess, all to involve the Spoon Bowl. And with all due respect to the Tigers and the Dragons, yeah, the Spoon Bowl, as expected, wasn't the best game. It wasn't really a game you should have on a Thursday night. So, I mean...
Oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah,
looks like that spoon is ours.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think it's back-to-back spoons now for the Tigers. I mean, yeah, oh, well, hopefully things change next year, I guess. But, yeah, look, I have the same thoughts. I think this round was decent. I think seeing how some games went, I think the expected games like Panthers Bulldogs was always a Panthers win, and everyone expected that. Games like, I guess, Brisbane and Rabbitohs could have been a bit better, I thought, in some parts. But obviously Broncos are just too strong, and they're showing again why their premiership credentials are serious. And obviously, yeah, like I'll just say that for the other game, which was the last one, Manly and the Shark, which I was at, yeah, thank God we won, because I don't know how you can choke a 30-0 lead, which we had in the second half. Like, as soon as Collar scored, I was like, yeah, I think it wraps up the game. But when the Sharks went bang, 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 I was like, oh, shit. This is like what Melbourne last year at Brookie, and then Cowboys last year as well at Brookie. I was getting the same vibes again, the same vibes of us choking. So I was really, really relieved that we somehow hang on. And yeah, I was panicking towards the end. If you see in my vlog, I was just like, on suicide watch if lost that game.
Jeez. They managed to hang on for you, bro. They managed to hang on for you.
Thank God, because I don't know what I would have done if we lost that. But yeah, I won't get into that. But yeah, look, I think we can both agree it was an all right round of footy. Just hopefully next few weeks are just as better as finals do approach. And now on to our player of the round for round 21 now. So obviously, again, full of standouts, full of players that I guess you can choose from that were the best of the round. Like, obviously, I named an example like Cherry Evans. Yesterday against the Sharks was awesome. Sean Johnson again playing clutch and getting the winning field goal against the Raiders. I thought Tony Staggs was great against the Rabbitohs too. So obviously, there's plenty of players that play well this round. But in your opinion, Champa, who would your player of the round be for round 21?
Ooh, there's a lot of players that I could go player of the round. I think the players I've got to give credit to is Brian To'o, Sean Johnson. They were very talented this week, and even from the Warriors, Aiden Fanua-Blake keeps getting better and better every single week. But the player of the week I'm going to go for, it's from the North Queensland Cowboys. I'm going to go Scott Drinkwater. This is a bloke right here that has the sky under his feet. Honestly, this kid, what he can do and how agile and just versatile he is for a fullback is crazy. This is like it's it's like I don't want to I don't like comparing players, but what we're seeing from Scott Drinkwater, it's like peak Matt Bowen right here. He is so comfortable at that fullback position. It's like he's been playing there for years. And like just how comfortable he was against Parramatta. Oh man, Scott Drinkwater is going to be a massive superstar. He's already a superstar, and he's going to be a megastar in the next few years. Scott Drinkwater is my player of the round.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. He's playing footy that I think we all know he can play, but it's just like, he's coming to his own this year, and he seems to be owning a bit more games. So yeah, that's a good call. I think he was definitely a top 5 player this round. As for me though, so look, I was very close to picking one player, and obviously that player was Phoenix Crossland. I think he deserves a shout out. Not my player of the round, but definitely a player that does deserve some recognition. So shout out to Phoenix Crossland. I think against the Storm and the way he played in the middle, it was a great performance, and he deserves to be credited on that. So good on Crossland. But look, as for me, my player of the round, it's a bit biased, and look, it's close. Obviously, it's very close, but I will go with Daly Cherry Evans. I think Ches played fantastic yesterday. Set up tries. Was everywhere in attack, and I think he was the reason why we won yesterday. And I think like if he wasn't playing that game, we would have lost. And even if we had that lead without Cherry Evans playing, which would be incredible, we'd still lose. I think so. Yeah, I think he's the reason why we still held on and didn't choke that game. So I think having Cherry Evans, there was important. So I'd say he's my player of the week. But look, again, it's very close. I think we can already tell who are the best players in the game, and they're consistently delivering. Like DCE, Johnson, Walsh, and all these players are playing fantastic. So we've already got an idea on how good these players are, and how they are every week. So it's obviously very tight as always. Just gonna have a gaze in the live chat. Liam's hang on a second. Liam says Parenzo and Manly were lucky yesterday. They were very lucky. They were, and look, it's good to see more viewers in the live chat. And so welcome to the stream. But yeah, I guess now we'll get into the 5 topics of the show. So starting with topic number 1, and yes, at the start of the podcast, I did mention that we will talk about Liam Knight and his new club that he's joined effective immediately. So, in breaking news today, Liam Knight, the Rabbitohs forward, has gone to the Bulldogs effective immediately. It's for this year and 2024. It's a sign I didn't expect. But what's funny is on the chat last night, I guess a few of us were talking about Liam Knight's future, and we made some predictions that Liam Knight wouldn't see the year out. So he didn't see the year out, obviously, and the next day he leaves the Rabbitohs immediately. So it's crazy how things can just come about like that. But look, Liam Knight off to the Bulldogs, probably a player that's been unlucky with injuries and other stuff, but I think on his day he's definitely a decent player. Champa, what's your thoughts on this one?
Oh, look, Liam Knight, he's a talented player. It's unlucky to see how he, how his career with the Rabbitohs went. Wasn't the career that a lot of people wanted. But look, the Bulldogs are looking for depth, and with a lot of players like Liam Thompson leaving for Dragons or Super League next year, and I believe it's who else is reportedly leaving Bulldogs as well? One of their forwards,
Ryan Sutton and RFM.
Ryan Sutton as well. They would need some depth within their forward. So I think Liam Knight, he fits in perfectly. He's a talented player, and he's someone that'll definitely get the job done. And with the Bulldogs situation right now, someone that can just get all the basics done right is really what they need right now.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I think Liam Knight will fit in perfectly with the Bulldogs, and look, increases their back for next year. they've already got on paper. They've got a very strong pack, and I think with Liam Martin there, it just increases it a lot, much more as well. So, yeah, look, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, no, look, it's a signing that I think is good for the Bulldogs in some way. Again, it could be a risk because I think Liam Knight has gone off the rails a little bit ever since Wayne Bennett's left, in my opinion. But on his day, he does seem to, give it a go and seems to at least run forward. And he's not a prop that throws the ball out of nowhere, does a silly offload or doesn't make too many errors. I mean, yeah, he has an error in him, but, I think we've seen worse forwards with errors. But, yeah, look, I think he'd be a good addition for the Bulldogs. I think the Bulldogs need these type of forwards that do a job and do what they're asked and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think hopefully it all works out. Hopefully Serrato can get the best out of him. And he's only 28 years old, so he's still fairly young. So,
Yeah, he's still got a lot of time left.
Absolutely, yeah. So, look, hopefully it goes well. And, I think he's got potential as a player. Going forward, do you see him as a starting player at the Bulldogs or a bench player at best?
He could be starting. I'd have him come off the bench. I reckon for the Bulldogs, they need a lot of impact starting on the field because I think with the Bulldogs, they need to. What the Bulldogs usually their problem is they usually lose the game in the first 20 minutes. The teams just once they start building momentum and they start scoring points. Bulldogs look overwhelmed and they just let all the pressure just take over them. And we saw it with the Panthers. They don't handle well under pressure, so they need a lot of impact starting on. That's why I would start players like Max King, Tavita Pangai Jr., Liam Knight. I reckon. Look, he could be a starting player. I would much rather have him coming off the bench. Have those forwards throwing that huge impact at the first 20 minutes, and then you can bring Liam Martin on. And he'll just do all the basics. He'll just take the ball up, and he'll pass the ball out to his second row when he needs to. And look, I think I would have him coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think I'd do the same. I think he could establish himself as a starting player in the future. I think, but he's only new, so I think that's how the Bulldogs will bring him into the club off the bench. So I agree. I think he'd be a good pickup if they get it right. On to the next topic now, topic number 2, and this is, again, very controversial, and I'll be honest, I didn't notice it at first when I was at the game, but seeing what happened and, reading about it, I was like, okay, yeah, it's actually worse than I thought. So yesterday in the Manly Sharks game, there was a decision in the second half where Nico Hines threw a pass that was actually called as forward, by touch judge Belinda Scharf, and she caught it forward. It's the pass from Hines to Katoa, and it was caught back, and Hines wasn't happy about that because he thought it was a flat ball, not a forward pass. And look, obviously he's allowed to complain and allowed to question the referees based on that, but he apparently came to Belinda Scharf a bit aggressively, and he was like, they'll walk away from me, come back here right now, and stuff like that. So, I mean, and I think it was more said than that, obviously, but it's not a good look in him because he's a role model. He's obviously a real popular figure in the game. And I think for him to speak aggressively to a female ref is a bit, it's a bit over the top. Like, yeah, he can be frustrated, and that's obviously fair enough because, he's a lead at the club and, he can be upset with decisions like that. Look, even though I thought it was the right call, I think he's allowed to get angry about it. But yeah, the way I think we got to hit the audio first, like more of the audio. But part of it was him saying, "Oh, look, come here, don't run away or walk away," and stuff like that. But Champa, what do you take out of this? Does he deserve to be suspended? And if he does, what would you give him?
Oh, he 100% deserves to be suspended. That was absolutely disgusting performance. An absolute deplorable behavior from one of the greater names in our game in Nico Hines. This kid, he was a Dalian winner last year. He's represented New South Wales. He's represented the country, and for him to get that upset over a forward pass to a referee and a female referee like that, how intimidating would that be for Belinda Scharf? She's just there doing her job. And she's honestly just there doing her job. And I applaud the referee. I applaud the head referee. I don't know who it was who was head refereeing that game.
Oh, Peter Golf, yeah.
Peter Golf. I applaud Peter Golf for putting Nico Hines in his place and telling him, look, you speak like that one more time, you're going to be sitting on the sideline for 10 minutes, all right? Or I would have marched him just then. I would have honestly marched him just then. Now, I'm not going to sit here and start defending the referees because I've been guilty of giving these referees a bit of slack, you know? I've been criticized. I've been very critical about them a lot. So I'm not going to sit here and start defending them like I haven't been, you know, ripping into them each and every week. However, I do see a limit from you getting frustrated at a referee's call to showing some sort of aggression and intimidation towards a referee, a female referee, nonetheless. Like what the NRLW just started, and this is a horrible view from one of our NRL players. Look, the NRL get a lot of NRL players get a lot of bad rap for being, you know, aggressive towards females. You know, we have the most domestic violence cases out of any sport in Australia.
Yeah.
And for him to put on that sort of display in front of a crowd that had children there, how are they supposed to take something like this out of it? They just saw one of their best players verbally attack and abuse a female referee like that. Are they going to start doing it to the females in their life? Look, the forward pass, yeah, was it a bit flat? Yeah, 50-50 call, probably is. The referee made a choice, but get over it, all right? Yeah. Get over it. Do never act like that towards a female referee. Look, even if this was a male referee, don't act like that over one call that you like. Keep in mind, you did the forward pass, all right? So it's on you. It's not on the ref. It's on you. Yeah. So I'm just absolutely disgusted with Nico Hines' behaviour. It's not of him. It's not his character for him to behave like that.
No way.
He's one of the more sensible characters in our game. But you know, a high intense game where they were coming back, I reckon something like that could get the better of anyone. So the punishment, I believe he should have been binned or he should have been marched that game. In my opinion, he should have been marched that game. So I hope he gets suspended. Minimum 2 to 3 weeks suspension. Players got to learn that the referees are there to do their job, and to show like that sort of aggression towards a female referee, it's disgusting. But that's my take.
Yeah, look, fair enough, and yeah, look, like I said, I wasn't actually too sure what he said to the referee at the time because I was there, but I didn't really get to hear the audio and what he was really saying. And like myself, the fans were confused on what happened because there was like a stoppage for a bit. And yeah, I think the fans were a bit confused what he did. But now knowing what he did more and how he sort of abused bullying the Sharp, yeah, no, it's disgusting. I agree, Champa. It's too far. And you know, even though you know you can disagree with stuff, I don't think abusing a woman, a female referee is the way to go. Like obviously it's and like you said too, NRLW's just started because you know that's all come together. That's competition now, and it's all been back now. And I guess like a figure like Nico Hines, who's a good guy, and he's always been regarded as a good guy. It's like no, it's not it. It's not it. So. I'm with you here. I'd suspend him 2 to 3 weeks. Sounds fair to me. You know what? I'd give him 4 weeks, I reckon, because I think the abuse of referees is a bit like it's a bit over the top now. I think it's time to just keep your mouth shut, like zip your mouth up, and get along with what the referee or the official gives. So you can't do much about it once they have the final say. So. Nico needs to learn his place, and I think that's what he should be doing right now. So no, it's disgusting, and honestly, I feel bad for bullying the Sharp. I hope she's doing okay.
Yeah, because something like that, I don't think a lot of people understand what something like that could do to someone, especially Nico Hines. Like he may be a halfback, but he's still a big sized bloke, and for him to be showing that sort of aggression towards a female, it's it could leave some lasting effects. So I hope Belinda Sharp is okay.
Yeah, me too. It's not a nice situation to be in. So yeah, I hope she's all right. But now on to another, I guess a topic close to your heart, Champa, and this is something I found out actually just yesterday too. So, yeah, no, thankfully I found this one because this is one I wanted to talk about too. So apparently Robbie Farah, who's your assistant coach, am I right?
Yeah, he's one of the assistant coaches. He's one of the trainers as well. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, look. Apparently, according to Michael Chambers, he's reporting that Robbie Farah is open to a general admission role at the Tigers. And in case people don't know what a general admission role is, it's basically where you manage most of the squad, or you manage basically most of the team, like the sponsors, the squad, and the health of the club. That's basically your job as a general manager. And basically what Gus Gould does, that's his job. So Robbie Farah is trying to get in the same role as what Gus does to the Bulldogs, being a general manager, but he wants to do that for the Tigers. So I don't know how you feel about this one, Champa, because I don't think Robbie Farah has ever been, involved with things as big as this. But I mean, he's a club legend, so he'd know what he's talking about, what he's doing, but it's a bit of a risk at the same time as he's a newbie to stuff like this. But what do you think about this one?
Oh, look, I'm going to support Robbie Farah in any decision he makes. And look, I'm just happy that he's decided to do something like this within the West Tigers and not at another club, because I'd hate to let Robbie Farah go. But look, if he wants to probably set himself apart from the whole coaching side of the main squad and focus more on taking care of the whole club in general, look, I back that. I think that's a fantastic idea, because Robbie Farah, he cares for the club. He loves the West Tigers, and if he's going to take up a role where he can help manage the club properly, because let's be honest, our club hasn't been managed properly in a fairly long time. I guess we can blame a lot of people for that. You got the board, you got Lee Hatchman-Tallis, you got Justin Pascoe. I guess throwing Robbie Farah, they're probably not at the same level of power as them, but putting Robbie Farah in a level of power where he can properly manage the club and take care of it within sponsors, within marketing, stuff like that. It shows that our club is thinking of it shows that our club is taking ignition of taking care of us, taking care of the whole club.
Yeah.
And because we want to look presentable, we want to look like a club that's getting run properly. Putting Robbie Farah in the mix, he may be new, but I'll back him. I'll always back Robbie Farah. He's a great bloke, and he's one of my favorite players of all time. So I wish him all the best in this role. And if you look, if he does get this role, like if he does snatch his role, then look, I'm excited to see what he can do with that, and how he could shape the West Tigers, and what he could do with all this. Who knows? But look, I'm happy for him. And if this means that we're going to get someone else into the coaching staff, it's going to be interesting to see who Marshall chooses. Rumors were speculating before, about a few months ago, that Wade Graham was was looking at Benji for a job, any chance for any coaching staff. And look, I'll take Wade Graham, definitely. Former Origin player, former Australian Kangaroo, premiership winner at the Sharks, definitely. I would take him 100%. He would have a lot to show our younger boys, because we have a very young squad. Having someone like Wade Graham there to help these boys mold into first grade, I think it'd be great. So yeah, Robbie Farah, honestly, I'll back him. General manager, why not?
Look, I it's interesting if that's the case. Like, I think, you want someone in that role who knows the club well and knows what the club needs. And I think Farah, having that mind about the Tigers and what they need to improve on, what they need to fix. I think he'd have a broad idea, because I think what also might help him as well is that he's been in the coaching staff, and he's obviously been amongst that, and he's obviously been seeing how the Tigers have been trained and what tactics they do at training too. So he'd know how the club runs its courses and stuff. So I think him moving into a general admission role would be a good thing for him. obviously, and like he's new, so that's a worry in my opinion. That he's still new to that sort of stuff, but honestly, if he knows the club well and if he knows what to do in terms of fixing things there and whatever, it'd be a good move for him, I reckon. But as you say, it depends who he gets or who he'd think would be a good replacement for him in the coaching staff as an assistant or a trainer. There was Wade Graham rumor, and actually, I'll be honest, I haven't heard that rumor in a long time. Like that rumor was like back early in the year, I think. So I haven't really heard of it since. Um, but the one I've heard recently, and I think we talked about this in the podcast a few times, and that's Justin Holbrook. Who's obviously now a free agent as a coach. So maybe the Tigers would be open to getting him in a role there. I don't know. That'd be good though, because I think he'll get a role soon. Maybe not the Tigers, but he'd get one somewhere. But if it was to be the Tigers, it wouldn't shock me if they've already opened discussions with him. But as for Farah being in the general admission role, look, I'd back it. I'd back it because he's a club legend. So get the right people in place. But again, it's going to take a while for the Tigers to build that sort of front office and build, I guess, around who's already running the show. So it's a step in the right direction, though. I do feel like I genuinely believe that. I believe that for sure. All right, on to topic number 4, and this is huge, and it's huge because both these sides are literally in the box seats to feature in a grand final for both these clubs for like a long time. I think these two are two of the surprise clubs of 2023. I don't think many people expected the Broncos to be as good as what they've been this year, and I don't believe Warriors and people what they thought about them would be even near the top 4 or hence the top 8. So these two sides have surprised out of nowhere, and it's a good thing to see. I think it's healthy for the competition to see new sides always be good. But seeing the Warriors and Broncos there, like, wow, who'd think? Like, who'd honestly think that they would be second and third in the ladder? But the question I'm mainly asking is, out of these two sides, out of these two surprise packet sides of 2023, who'd be more likely to make the grand final this year? Like, it's a tough question to ask, I know, but Champa, Broncos or Warriors to the grand final, who has a higher chance? It's tough, I know.
Oh, it's very tough. You look at Brisbane. Wow, what a season Brisbane have had. Well, starting off with, in my opinion, coach of the year, and that's Kevin Walters. Geez, he has really just struck belief into these boys. And then you have, in my opinion, the fullback of the year, Reece Walsh. Absolutely amazing. Like, this is like, he had a breakout performance at the Warriors. Now he's having another breakout year at the Brisbane Broncos. He's stolen the Queensland fullback jersey of Ponga. Ponga's never going to get that jersey back. It's Walsh's now. It's Walsh's now. Then you got the prop of the year, Payne Haas. Jeez, how good! And then, in my opinion, the lock of the year, Pat Carrigan. It's just that they're just littered with talent across the field. You got Stags, you got Cobbo. You got look, Billy Walters. I feel like has improved a lot this year. Got Jordan Ricky, Herbie Farmworth. He may be leaving the following year, but geez, he's been so good there. He's been so good there. So yeah, the Brisbane Broncos. Wow, just they've managed to find that old Brisbane team that they were looking for. They've been in a huge dark period for a while, ever since Seabold, and they just slowly started building themselves back up to that Brisbane dominant team. I remember, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, it was the first time a Brisbane team had none of its players in the Queensland Origin, and that's unheard of. That is unheard of.
That's crazy.
And to now see all those players now being given Origin selected jerseys, it's just amazing to see. And then on the other side, you got the Warriors, who, wow, just wow. Where do I start? Sean Johnson. This guy's probably going to be halfback of the year. My goodness. He has just... If you want to talk about winding the clock, and we've seen it many times with players who've managed to find that sort of resilience they had 5 or 10 years ago, Johnson's just done that this year. It's like the past 5 years just haven't have happened, and he's just playing like how he was playing back like 2011 to 2015, where he was the most exciting player to watch. And then you have the forward pack, in my opinion, probably the most dangerous forward pack in the comp. Aiden Fanua-Blank, Bunty Afoa, Mitch Barnett, Tohu Harris. I could go on. Then you got utilities coming off the bench, like Dylan Walker coming off the bench. Yeah. In my opinion, which team's most likely to make the grand final?
These two.
I actually have one of these two teams in my prediction for the grand final, and that's the Warriors.
Ooh, wow.
You want to talk about playing with belief? That's the one thing the Warriors have. What the Warriors have that a lot of teams probably don't, I wouldn't say they don't have, but they don't have it as good as the Warriors, is when they have momentum, when they have belief in, like, just in them, they're unstoppable. They play. It's hard to describe, but they just play with just so much heart and so much passion. It's a true just warrior spirit right there. And my prediction for the grand final is Panthers Warriors. That's my prediction for the grand final. Although I am going to say that I'm tipping Panthers for a 3P. I do think that's going to happen. I think Warriors are going to shock everyone and make the grand final. So that's my opinion. Warriors to make the grand final.
Bro, that's huge. Like, seriously, the Panthers Warriors grand final would be like one of the last things people would predict for this year. Like, but yeah, like I see it happening. Like, I genuinely do. I think it's hard to deny Penrith, obviously. But seeing the Warriors make it, yeah, it has potential. Like, the way the Warriors are playing this year, it's definitely a resemblance of how 2002 and 2011 looked. So, I mean, I wouldn't disagree I wouldn't disagree with it. I think that's a possible grand final for sure. But like comparing both sides, it's very similar. Like, good backlines with great athletes, like having the Warriors having Zlesniak and Broncos having Cobo, two athletic wingers, and that's why I guess they really attack well because those two guys can finish what Reynolds and Johnson provide in attack. And obviously the fullbacks Walsh and Nickel Klukstad, both of them have changed clubs in the off-season, but Walsh back at Brisbane's found his feet again. And even seeing K back at the Warriors, he's found his feet. Well, he did it at Canberra, but he's playing career best form at the moment. So it's funny how close both these teams are aligned. They're very similar. The forward packs as well, AFB versus, I guess Flegler and Haas and Afoa's up there too with Barnett. So both forward packs are very physically strong and so similar in comparison. But yeah, look, for me, I reckon, look, I'll go a bit different. I think the Broncos are a bit more of a chance in my opinion. I think there's not much in it because both sides are similar, I think, but with what the Broncos have been doing all year and stuff like that, I think the Broncos are just showing why they are a dark horse to the premiership. I think, I'd go Panthers and Broncos personally. I know it sucks to have Penrith there yet again, but no one can deny how good they are. And they just keep, people want them to fail because they're just too good, but you can't hate or deny success, and that's what the Panthers provide. So, it's going to be very hard to see them not make the grand final this year based on what we've seen. And they're coming first for a reason. Like, they're first for a reason. They play consistently well every week, and they're a tough team. So I'd say they'll be there against the Broncos. Like, I guess the only worry for the Broncos is that they don't have much finals experience. Because I don't think guys like Ricky, Carrigan, which is crazy to think hasn't played finals yet, Cobo, Stags, maybe in 2019, can't remember, but most of that team has not played finals before, so that could be the only downside for them. And same with the Warriors too, but they've got Sean Johnson who's been there and done it before, and Broncos have Adam Reynolds who's been there and done it before. But yeah, I guess I guess finals experience might be the costly part of it, but yeah, I think Panthers Broncos is what I'd go with personally. So that's what I'd pick. But yeah, I really hope one of these teams make it. It'd be a good story for whoever makes it either way. That's for sure. And on to the fifth and final topic of the podcast now, and it sort of ends off with a another mid-season transfer before August 3rd, which is the deadline. Joey Lussick, who you all may remember, he did play for the Eagles before in 2021, and he was there for only a little bit only. But yeah, he's returning to the Eagles effective immediately. I'm guessing he's going to come in for Josh Hodgson and Brendan Hands. I mean, Hands will still play, but because Hodgson's out for the rest of the year with yet again another injury, which is sad, but he's injury prone, so I think Parramatta getting rid of him is a good call. But yeah, I think he'd come in and start for Hodgson Lussick and maybe rotate with Hands off the bench. But yeah, look, he's at the club now and he's signed until 2025, but there's potentially could be a long-term hooker solution for them as well, because I think Lussick's still very young and yeah, he's been at Parramatta before, and maybe this time, Brad Arthur and the Eagles may keep him for much longer. But Champa, what do you make of this signing? Do you see it benefiting the Eagles going forward? And if so, do you see a Hands and Lussick combination working?
I think I do see a Hands-Lussick combination working. It's hard to see Josh Hodgson out with another injury, and I'm pretty sure there was rumors that he may even also retire medically.
I think so.
Which is such a shame to see. But if that is the case, then they need to look towards the future, moving on. And Joey Lussick, look, he's played at Parramatta before, and he's got a lot more experience than Brendan Hands. Brendan Hands still a little bit young, so I wouldn't throw him in the starting position just yet. Having someone like Joey Lussick just start, and then say 30 minutes or 40 minutes in, swap in for Brendan Hands. I reckon that would be fine. Joey Lussick, look, he's a talented player, talented hooker, and he's someone that will get the job done. Yeah. I think it's a good signing for Parramatta. It's good depth for them, and it's a smart signing because the hooker position was looking like being the weak link in their whole squad. And look, it would have been great if they would have got a superstar, but they got someone like Joey Lussick, who very similar to Liam Knight. He gets the job done, and sometimes that's just what you need in a player. Is someone that can just get the job done, someone that's reliable, and you get 100% back from them. So I'm backing this signing, Joey Lussick.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, look, obviously he played for my St. Helens recently, and I can say from what I've seen from him, he does a job, and he's definitely a solid player who, well, as a Saints fan, I would have thought he'd be the long-term replacement for James Roby, who's on his last legs, obviously, and who is retiring at the end of the year. But that's not the case anymore because Lussick's gone to Parramatta and won't be coming back. Like, I thought he was on loan at Parramatta. Like, I thought this was like a short-term solution only, not long-term for the Eagles. But Lussick's gone and won't be back. So Saints need to find a new hooker going forward to replace Roby. But look, in terms of Parramatta signing him, I think, yeah, it's good. And I think normally having a hooker rotation with one starting and one coming off the bench with fresh legs, it often works out pretty well. So yeah, I think Parramatta getting Lussick is a bonus signing, and that should definitely help them going into finals, I think, as well. Because even though Hodgson's been a bit disappointing this year and hasn't been a signing which most people have thought he'd be, and I'll be honest, I didn't think he'd be a big signing anyway, but I think most people would have thought that he'd be more consistent in his performances, but I think age and injuries are catching up with him as well. So that's probably why his form's been a bit off this year. But yeah, I think Lussick and Hands are young, so that's their future right there. And yeah, who knows? I think Lussick could be that real X factor for them heading to finals. I mean, I'd hope not because it's Parramatta, but he'd be a good signing for them. So, and I know what he's like as a player from watching at St. Helens. So, yeah, no, I think he'd be good. I think he'd be good. And in the chat, National Sports Load says, I also heard that Hodgson is going to retire because of his injury. Yeah, well, we're just saying that I think, yeah, he will retire because of his more injury and more injuries he's copped in his career. So it's sad, but part of the game. And Hodgson's been one of those unlucky players. But yeah, that's that. All right. Well, again, that brings end to another podcast for tonight, episode 66, done and dusted. Would like to thank everyone that did tune in tonight and did watch the podcast. It's greatly appreciated. And as always, Champa, good show, bro. And yeah, no, let's get keen for round 22 of the NRL.
Yeah, I'm keen. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to tonight's podcast and episode 67 next week. So I'm keen for a good round of footy. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, no worries. And go and subscribe to the YouTube channel of All Out Champa. He is linked in the description down below. So go and check him out if you haven't already, or else something bad will happen to you. And I guarantee you that. So please do go and check out All Out Champa if you haven't already. But everyone, thanks for watching. Like this video and subscribe to both our channels. And see you next week for episode 67.